a bunch of announcements, and the market's up and down, and they're still trying to figure out what's going on. It was so important this week that even the president had to give a speech about it. So he gave a speech to clarify things for us so that we could understand what's going on. Because, it wasn't too long ago he was telling us there's coming inflation's already started. Don't sweat it. It's transitory. It's going to come and go. It's sort of like when you have a hurricane. The prices go up, and they call that inflation. The prices go up for the reason that there's a hurricane and there becomes targeted shortages. But that isn't what we're talking about. We're talking about monetary affairs. But Biden wanted us to believe it was sort of closer to what happens when prices go up when there's a storm that comes in, or a winter storm, or electricity goes off. But those are events. But that's not the inflation we're talking about, because the inflation we're talking about is a monetary affair, and it's something that is preventable. It's something that is very addicting, and something that gets out of control ever since they invented fiat money, which has been from the beginning of time. Even in the early centuries when they used gold, there were always people trying to find a substitute and cheat some people. But basically, gold and silver lasted for a long time. And the inflation that we deal with, because it involves our country, is the inflationary forces behind the devaluation and the destruction of the value of the dollar. And that's been going on since they created the Federal Reserve, and that was their purpose, is to manipulate the value of the dollar for the benefit of, bankers and big business and people who like budget deficits. And they were able to come up with this. And the Federal Reserve has existed, and they've done their job pretty well. They have really wrecked the economy. They have caused the prices to go up over this century. We've had wage and price controls several times. We artificially finance things that shouldn't have been financed, sometimes very unnecessary wars, and also to finance deficits that were run up for the welfare state and the military-industrial complex. So there's always a conspiracy there. But this conspiracy is a true conspiracy. Mm-hmm. It's the dishonest conspiracies that we don't like. But no, it's very clear what has been going on. So what Biden had to say was of an interest to me, and the headline in Zero Hedge says, Biden addresses soaring inflation. I agree with that headline. And Biden blames the pandemic, but he lies about wages, how he's going to solve the problem of wages, even though there's supposedly a lot of jobs and labor markets are just great. But the one inevitable fact that happens under these circumstances is that the wage earner, the working class, the poor and the middle class, they have to pay the bills. And that's what we're witnessing. That's why people are so unhappy. But he would like to blame the pandemic, and the pandemic did have something to do with it, but it's not like blaming the hurricane that comes in and you have disruption and it goes away. The pandemic participates in it because they, at the very beginning, even before Biden became president, they said spend more money, and it wasn't just the routine bailout of a weak economy. It was huge, trillions and trillions of dollars. The deficit skyrocketing, the money supply skyrocketing like never before, and so it is not transitory. Chris, you've heard me predict and assume that this is going to last a long time. I have vivid memories of what went on in the 1970s, from the day the Bretton Woods ended to the day, because that's when they put on wage and price controls and all kinds of economic controls. And we have a lot of that, but it can get worse as far as the controls go, because even though they control a lot of wages and prices in different areas, I still fear the fact that the sequence has generally been this inflation of prices. The price inflation gets out of hand, so the people want something to be done. We don't have enough money, so they pass out more money, and then they put on, we'll give you more money and we'll control prices. And that is a disaster. Chris, I think one of the most important things our viewers probably already know, but they should absorb and realize it. This is not a new story, what I just said. This has happened many, many times over, but the conditions are different, and most of the time they get worse. So the dot-com bubble in 2000 and the housing bubble in 2008, it just keeps getting worse. QE hasn't solved the problem, and it's going to continue. But there's never been a time where the politicians, the managers of the money, the fiat currency people, could take a situation like this and do it gradually and smartly, and then they would be able to take care of self. And I don't know where they got the terminology. We want a soft landing. Evidently, they think, we're up there flying gracefully. No, we're up there with runaway prices increases and runaway big government spending. So, no, this isn't going to be any better. Matter of fact, there's every bit of evidence to show that this correction is going to be historic. In a sense, it'll be worse than that we saw in the 70s, the 80s, and 10 years ago, and all the things that we've had to do with the manipulation of money. It's coming to an end. Just like we've been saying and looking at what's happening in Canada, it's coming to an end. The people have had too much. The market has had too much of this manipulation, and the people who know what's happening also are having too much of this. And hopefully we can wake people up and have them start thinking about personal liberty and sound money.
Before we continue, help us clicking that YouTube like button and subscribe now to our channel. This shows the algorithm that you valued this information. And it helps us spread that message. Sharing is caring. And now, let's continue.
Do you want to know one thing about crypto? I made over 3000% in profit in a few weeks. Fact is, the traditional financial system, the traditional money system makes you poor, not rich. If you want to earn $500,000, $1 million, you have to wait until you're 50, 60, 70 in the traditional financial system, and you probably will still be broke. And you will be old. This is not a sexy combination, as you can imagine. But the question is, how can you start in crypto and make these profits? Where to invest? Where to start? My name is Gunnar and I'm from Germany, as you can hear, and things are a little bit different in Germany. More about that later on. The fact is, there are lots of different cryptocurrencies. It's a gigantic universe where beginners and professionals get easily lost. But there is light at the end of the tunnel. There are 7 key steps you need to follow to become successful in this market. You have to know them, and if you fail one of them, it's literally impossible to succeed in this market. Just an example, one of the key points is your exchange, and one of the biggest are, for example, Binance and Coinbase. These are trusted and well-established exchanges, but, and this is a big but, you won't find the super profitable coins on those exchanges. The unknown super profitable coins that get gigantic profits are not traded on those kind of exchanges. They are traded on much smaller insider platforms that are barely known. And I can tell you what those super secret exchanges are and why they are so profitable. And another super important thing are the right information sources. The point is, the internet is gigantic. There are hundreds and hundreds of YouTube channels, blogs, pages, and much, much more. And there are also market makers and influencers. For example, Elon Musk, he is not a crypto guy, but the moment he recommended Dogecoin, it went through the roof, to the moon, so to say. But why did he recommend it? Where did he hear it from? He didn't hear it from newspapers. And believe me, he is listening to someone. But you have to know who, and you have to react before he is reacting. This is really, really important. And these are only 2 of the 7 steps you have to follow in order to be successful in crypto. And if you want to know all of these steps in much more detail, and if you want to have a comprehensive checklist, here's what you should do. There is a link below this video. Click on this link and you will get the opportunity to subscribe to my channel. Click on the link and you will see a video where I explain the next steps. So see you soon. Click on the link now. I'll see you there.